Welcome to ABG, Asian Boss Girl, a podcast for the modern day Asian American woman. I'm Mel.
I'm Helen.
I'm Janet.
And Cathy.
Babies, babies, babies. In the last episode of Season 1, Episode 12, Labor of Love, we focused on the topic of babies. We fantasized about what it would be like to have children, from pregnancy to labor to the process of raising them. But because none of us are actual mothers, this discussion was completely hypothetical. Today, we are so thrilled to have a special guest with us to share her experience of recently birthing a new little human. You might know her from her YouTube channel where she vlogs and sings to over 300,000 subscribers, which she manages in addition to being an X-ray tech. And now, also a new mama. Welcome our friend, Cathy Nguyen.
Woo! Yay, thanks guys.
Hi, Cathy.
Hi. Welcome.
So honored to be here.
Thanks so much for being with us. You are now our fourth guest
I love it.
on Asian Boss Girl, and you are truly an Asian boss girl.
Oh,
yes.
Yourself.
Really? Thank you.
Yes, you are. To what Janet just introed, you have over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, over 100,000 on Instagram, yet you have this regular 9-to-5 plus job.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know how that happens.
Like, I've always been curious, and I think a lot of our listeners also are, modern day working women who are trying to find this other pathway of like a passion project or whatever it is, right? Something that you have been able to find balance with. And I think it'd be good for our listeners to just hear, what did you start off with after college right away? And how did you get into X-ray tech?
Well, after college, I had applied to be in this X-ray program, which around that time it took 3 years to get into the program.
Oh, wow.
So there was three-year waiting list.
Oh, wow.
And it was during that 3 years was when the whole YouTube thing had happened. And so I remember watching Happy Flip and David Choi, and I was like, that's cool. I want to do that too.
Yeah.
And so I did. And one thing led to another, and then somehow was in the right place at the right time and just met the right people, and then here I am.
And you did, was it during that time that you did, Strangers Again is one of Wong Fu's most watched videos.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
all thanks to you, clearly.
No.
Not Philip.
No. All Philip.
But was that during that time, the 3 year
That
period?
was, 2009? Yeah, I started on YouTube 11. Whoops. 2011. My first video was 2007.
Okay.
Oh.
And then so I started off singing on YouTube, and then eventually as I kind of grew up, I guess, started vlogging about my life, and then about travels with my boyfriend at the time, and then husband, and then now we're married, and now we have a baby.
And so that was your boyfriend back then. So you guys have been dating for a while.
Yeah.
And were you prepping for the tech program at the same time, or how did that come into play with all of the...
So the whole YouTube, so I had taken a little hiatus in the middle of that. So in the first half was the singing part, and then the acting with Wong Fu. And then I took a break once I started the program, I took a break. So that was 2-3 years. And then it was when around the time we were about to get married, I was like, I want to start vlogging. We're traveling a lot. I want to do little travel vlogs and videos and kind of start easing back in again. And so that's what I started doing. So I was like, hey, welcome back. It's me. So I posted traveling videos and little vlogs. So I guess I kind of grew up from the singing phase to now the married and being a mom phase.
How many years were you in X-ray tech before you decided to come back to this YouTube community?
I was, maybe about 2 years in, 3, 4, 5, 4
After
years
that,
in.
were you
a few years in, yeah.
Were you itching to get back? You're like, oh,
I
used to do this thing.
I missed it. I missed the scene. I missed the people. I miss meeting new friends and traveling and all that stuff. It all came with it, and it was fun when it had happened back then. So I was like, I want to do this again.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I think people probably really missed you too, that used to follow you. And did you lose subscribers during that time, or was it just...
I honestly don't know. I never really looked at the
That's good.
numbers. I just did what I wanted to do because I enjoyed it. I didn't care about the number. I didn't have a long-term goal of being full-time music person, whatever. So I just did it because I enjoyed it, honestly.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I think that's also really rare to hear, because I feel like a lot of people that we know who are YouTubers and who are musicians want to make it full time, but you were
I was not on that end.
You were just good.
No,
got all these
it was
people
just
following
a
you.
hobby. It worked out like, yeah, it
Just
just
a
worked
side
out.
hobby with 1,000 followers.
I know, right?
Lord.
It's also a great lesson for our listeners that you can pursue a passion project and take a break and come back to it. It's not like you don't have to fully, you can balance it in that way.
True. Yeah. It was nice because I made my own schedule. Like I didn't commit to like, oh, I got to post every twice a week or whatever. Like when I was able to, I'll post something. If not, then whatever,
And coming from like an Asian background, did your parents ever say, like when you first started off, you had kind of an excuse to be like, I can't work for 3 years, and so this is what I'm going to do? But were they kind of like pushing you into a certain direction that was not YouTube, or were they really supportive of you?
They were actually really excited to see like how much exposure I was getting around that time when I was getting, all the little views and, people recognizing me and stuff. So that was cool. They were supportive in that way. But, in the back of their mind, they were also like, this is just a hobby too.
Yeah.
You got school coming up.
Yeah.
So, so knowing that in the back of my mind, how they felt I didn't pursue music full time, just knowing that in the back of my head, I didn't give my all.
And then now that you're kind of back into it, are they like still support? Because you're still working your normal job
I am.
now.
So I am working as an X-ray tech now. I think now that I am actually working, like I don't think that matters anymore. If it works out, it works out, But I myself am not reaching for that anymore.
And the X-ray tech job, it's like a full-time 40-hour.
It can be. I don't work full time, so
that helps.
yeah, it does help.
I think I've always just been like, how is she able to like do both? Because like even for us in this podcast, we're like, holy crap, this takes a lot of work.
Oh my
and
God,
like
yeah.
here you are editing your vlogs and like actually vlogging and like creating content. And I think you're just like a super talented person. So you're able to like just sing as if it's like for us, if we were to sing, we'd edit it for like 10 hours.
Oh yeah.
Or more.
I mean, that probably explains why I don't post that often. It's like once every few months I'll post something. That's because I'm really busy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm editing while I'm working or with a baby, but it takes months until a new video comes out. So
I didn't know that you were like studying to be X-ray tech as you were doing YouTube. Because when I first like found out about Cathy, like it was because like the YouTube channels I'd watch. I was like, oh, Cathy, who's this? And then I watched her videos. I mean, I loved your voice. So I didn't know at that time you were actually studying to do something else.
Yeah.
It's the first time for our listeners to know that about you as well. Because I do think when like you see these YouTubers, you assume like they're pursuing this full time. This is their passion. It's just like, well, actually, you're like just doing this for fun. You had, like Helen said, you just had to be really good at it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And it's all self-taught, right? Or did someone like guide you to?
Yeah, self-taught.
Dang.
I know. I wish I had a voice.
Boss lady.
No, not at all. Thank you though.
And now you have a baby, so you've added another thing to your schedule. Like, how has that been?
So everything else is in the back burner now.
Shifting of priorities, right?
Yeah, so priorities definitely have shifted even more so. So baby has taken over my days.
Baby Isla.
That's
a pretty name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How did you come up with that name? It's a very unique
Isla.
name.
So Isla, spelled I-S-L-A. It was named after a place in Vegas.
Yeah.
Hey,
It
Cathy's
was-
always been very ratchet.
It's one of those steak and eggs spots out in Vegas, and Mikey and I had a lot of memories out there. So I was like, oh, if we had a kid, if it was a boy, Ellis, and then girl, Isla, named after Ellis Island.
Whoa.
That's pretty.
That's such a sweet story. Yeah.
I know, weird, right?
No,
But
it's actually super. That's like very
was my story.
meaningful. It's not just like I liked the sound of the name.
True,
There's
and
a
that
story
too.
to
I was
it.
like, oh, that's kind of cute, Isla.
Was he on board like right away? He's like, girl,
Yeah, he was,
I want to
he
name it
was.
like Stephanie or
No,
something.
no, he was. That was like the go-to spot every, whatever.
Did you guys go to Vegas a lot?
It was one of those like
Escapes.
easy escapes.
Yeah.
While we were dating.
Yeah.
I was telling Cathy because before we got into recording, I was like, I asked her how she named her daughter. And I was like, yeah, Isla's it's not a common name. And I don't know any Asian American women named Isla.
Is there anyone named Isla? She's unique.
Well, before I named her, I was looking up hashtags on Instagram to see if there's any hashtags. There are hashtags and handles that are Islas, so there are
out
Islas
there.
out there. I just don't know anybody personally, so I was
Right.
like, cool.
Isla because it sounds like I love you.
Yeah.
Oh, she's going to get a lot of boys saying that to her.
No, just kidding.
No boys, not until college.
Is Mikey already really like the protective dad? Because like a daddy's girl.
Not yet. I have a feeling he will be though.
Yeah,
for sure.
I hear it from my sister. Like I hear it's harder for the men in like when for newborns because they're so attached to like the mom and so like reliant on the mom, and like they can't really react to the dad, and they're just kind of like, what am I supposed to do here? I just have to like support, and I don't feel like I'm really giving anything that's like truly helpful. So yeah, in time though.
So let's take it all the way back to, we want to hear everything about your pregnancy, labor, being a mom now. So did you guys plan the pregnancy, or did you have like, were you aiming for a certain period of time to just post-marriage, or kind of how did all of this come about?
Yeah, so we did plan. We knew that we wanted to have a baby after we did some traveling.
Yeah,
which we did. So we got married in 2015, and we got to travel for about like 2-ish years or so.
That sounds amazing.
And then, so we got to do some traveling, and then it was the end of last year where we're like, all right, 2018 is the year we're going to start trying.
Yeah.
And so January we took one last cruise trip, and then that was that. We found out we were pregnant in February.
So the cruise trip was that last cruise trip.
Yeah. It didn't happen on the cruise, though. It didn't. People think it happened on the cruise, but it did not.
Were you kind of shocked that it happened so quickly? Or
Yeah,
were you,
totally.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that was quick. I mean, some people don't. That doesn't happen all the time. So we were really lucky to have been pregnant immediately.
And you had a whole like release video of you finding out about your pregnancy.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like the sweetest video. Oh my gosh.
I think I cried.
Yeah, I think I did too. Just like his reaction.
Yeah.
Mikey's reaction, your husband, is just like, oh, that's such a sweet moment that you captured.
We're both very emotional people, so we cry a lot.
How did you find out about your pregnancy?
So I was about 2 weeks late. I'm usually, irregular anyway, so I was kind of waiting it out. I was just like, all right, how much longer do I wait? And it was like that week he was out of town for a work interview or something like that. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to check on my own. I was like, oh God, it's scary. So I did. I bought a test, and then I was by myself. Checked it, and I was like, no. I was like, okay, I'm gonna check another one.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap, I am. Like, how do you react when you're by yourself? Do you cry? Do you scream? Do you laugh?
Pull out a camera and start recording.
I was like, I kind of want to just vlog this moment too, so I did. And I mean, my reaction on the video was not as intense as people have done it, but yeah, I found out on my own, and then I waited a week after to tell Mikey because I wanted to I was like, how am I gonna tell him? I wanted to do it in a special way also too.
Right.
So took a week to tell him. He's like, you took a week? You knew for a week and you didn't tell me?
Did you tell anyone else during that time?
Actually, I did. I actually told my boss before I told my husband.
Oh my God.
Yes, because I am
boss
an
girl
X-ray.
right here.
I work as an X-ray tech, so X-rays, I wanted to make sure, I take the proper, steps to protecting myself. So I told my boss, and so I had to, get an extra badge and all that stuff. So I had to tell her first. I was like, this is weird. Yeah. So I did have to tell her first.
So Cathy, when you're younger, did you have a certain age that you envisioned having kids by, or it was just like it didn't matter for you?
I think we all had some sort of timeline, unrealistic timeline.
26,
right?
Mine was married at 25, kids at 27.
And
What
do you
about
mind
guys?
sharing your age with our audience?
Yeah. I'm just kidding. I just turned 31.
Baby. Yeah, I'm 31
You
too.
guys are...
You're 31, you're married, and you have a baby, so.
Wasn't too far off the mark.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Probably
Timeline?
about the same.
25,
I'm like
27.
way more delayed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think times have changed.
Yeah.
A lot, yeah.
The age has moved a little further towards the 30s. And then people don't really care anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sort of.
I think when I was younger, I was similar to you, like
Yeah.
the 25, 27. And then as I get older, and I'm like, hey, that's not happening.
Yeah.
It's like getting pushed out a decade pretty much.
It's okay.
But yeah, I think that is kind of more popular thing that's happening nowadays. So
I'm still aiming for my 30s to have kids and get married and find someone.
You don't
All
have-
the stuff.
wow.
All that stuff.
Lots of ambition from all in the next 2 years.
I'm really goal oriented, so I'm trying to hit that.
Baby oriented.
Yeah. Oh, I had a question. We talked about it in episode season 1. Like, I tend to fantasize about, what kind of sex for the baby do I prefer to have? Did you want a girl or a boy first?
I was 49-51 girl, like percentage-wise. I was like, I don't mind, but a little bit more of a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not for any particular reason, but it's just like, just want just want a girl.
Yeah. And did you have like cravings? Because I hear like you get more like sweets cravings when you are pregnant with a girl.
I did not have any cravings. Actually, I had no appetite. Oh, yeah, it was.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah,
happen for
I was
women,
like,
too.
did not want to eat, and I love food. I love to eat, and I was like, nah, that doesn't sound good.
Just,
That
like,
doesn't
nauseous.
sound
Did you
good.
feel nauseous?
I didn't get nauseous. If I did, it was very mild.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy, so I was lucky in that end. But no cravings, no morning sickness, really.
Dang.
Cathy, if you could share with us pretty much the pregnancy experience. So from day one when you found out you were pregnant all the way through to, right before you're heading to the hospital.
Yeah. So disclaimer for you guys listening. My pregnancy journey was unique. I mean, as everyone's is. I guess I can't say it's the most typical sounding pregnancy. So, I mean, I think it's a good way to kind of share this story so that you don't expect the good all the time coming out of, pregnancy stories, because ours was a bit of a roller coaster ride.
And I think that's really cool that you're open to sharing that story because we do need to normalize these conversations a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
a lot of us consume media that just says, "Oh yeah, just popped out
Everything's
a baby
great.
overnight.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it just
yeah.
slipped out of my vagina."
Yeah.
Exactly.
That
you
probably
just
didn't
hear the
happen.
part. You hear the part where you're pregnant, and then you give the birth. But
Exactly.
The in between, there's a lot that goes on, and for us, there was a lot that kind of went on. More so in the beginning ish. This will be my first time kind of explaining the story, so this will be
Exclusive content. Wah, wah, wah.
nervous.
Don't be nervous.
So in the beginning, it was exciting. The first 12 weeks was exciting. That was when we found out, and then trying to figure out how to tell your family, friends, announcing it, finding out the gender. All that was great. And then it was around maybe like the 20-week mark where they start doing some testing. 20 weeks, they do something they call an anatomy scan, where they start measuring the baby. And we had been told that the baby was measuring small. So I was like, okay, small, whatever. And then after that, I mean, this is all in one appointment. So baby was measuring small. I had something they called a placenta previa, which is where the placenta is covering your uterus. That is more of a problem towards the end where, like if you were to give birth, you might have to get a C-section.
Right. Okay.
So I had that, and then I also had cysts in my placenta, and I was like, what the heck? So all in one appointment, I had found all that out, and I'm like, what did I do? Like, what am I doing wrong? Am I not eating enough? Is that why baby's small? That was rough for us. So it was maybe about a month period where there was a bunch of testing going on, and like, of course, being first time mom, you don't know.
Yeah.
People don't tell you these things, So I'm researching things online. I'm like, is this okay? What's normal? And in my case, like the cysts were very unique.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't find anything online about it.
Okay.
And what was interesting also was that the doctors were like, we don't know what these are. And I'm like,
my
oh
gosh,
God,
that's
come
not what you
on,
want your
know?
doctor
So I'm like,
to hear from your
Lordy.
doctor.
Yeah, so that took a toll on me. And also with what I mentioned, the placenta previa, like I'm not allowed to do strenuous work. So I started my disability early. So I took work off. I started disability in July. So pretty early. So I was home, not doing work, like I can't lift and stuff like that.
Right.
The following months, I had lots of doctor's visits for, follow-up and checkup and measuring and stuff like that. So everything was still there. Like the cysts were still there. Baby was still measuring small. Like I had said, I had no appetite, no anything. So towards the third trimester, they do the diabetes test, your blood sugar test. And then I got gestational diabetes. So on top of all that, I'm with diabetes. And then they're like, all right, you need to be on this strict diet. And I'm like, I don't already want to eat anything. And now you're putting me on this diet where I can't eat anything. So I was like, oh my gosh, that was like the cherry on top of it
Was
all,
that parts of the cause of the other three things before that they didn't? So this is a new
and
thing.
with the diabetes thing, that usually happens, or it runs in the family. Like if your mom had it, then you're most likely to have it. But my mom didn't have it. And I'm like, why do I have it? So I'm like, a lot of things where I'm like, why me? Why me?
Right.
Yeah.
So I was going through some rough times in the middle there, but you can just imagine how emotional I had felt.
Of course.
And you're like isolated by yourself at
you're-
home. Like,
yeah.
And I feel like when you're in that situation, like no one's there and you're like just running thoughts through your mind. Like I never heard about this side of pregnancy before.
Yeah, so it was a lot, but that was the pregnancy experience from the beginning till the pre-birthing part.
And then the doctor didn't have any like solutions for
No,
it either.
it was just monitoring the placenta of the baby. At 38 weeks, I had an appointment, and the specialist was like, all right, so at this point, I think your baby's going to be better nourished outside of the womb. So I had to get an induction. My estimated due date was October 17th, and I came into the hospital October 7th to get my induction.
And what is an induction?
Induction is when they just kind of force the baby out,
Does it
like unnaturally.
They like put you into labor or something,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. Like through medications.
Was it
trying to dilate?
C-section?
No. Thankfully not. For me, in my scenario, if it had gone any longer, I felt like it was going to go into C-section. But after I was in the hospital for about 34 hours. Active labor, about 21 hours.
Holy
Oh my God.
freaking crap.
Oh, Lord,
Wait,
yeah.
so what were the methods they tried to do to
So October 7th, 8 o'clock in the morning, I came into the hospital. So with me, I was always hoping, when you're pregnant, water breaking, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience. I had I'm going to wake up in a shower, get ready to give birth
to
today,
hospital.
So I'm like, I kind of wanted that,
Right.
oh, my water broke
Yeah.
moment.
I just broke all over the carpet.
I didn't have that moment, but I was able to prepare in such a way where I was ready, We came in, that was Sunday morning, came in, and obviously my body wasn't ready to give birth, so they have to, give you medicine and all that stuff. So the first part of it was putting like this pill on your cervix to try to get your cervix to dilate.
Okay.
And that was like 12 hours of that didn't hurt, but it was just a long process. And it was just a waiting process that did not progress within the 12 hours.
What does it
which
do? Does it
should've.
just like contract the muscles or something to like open? Or
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything. They would just insert a pill right on the cervix every however many hours.
Okay.
Wow.
And after like the 6th hour or whatever, 10th hour, it's like, oh, you're still barely 1 centimeter dilated.
gosh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, and you have to get to 10 to give birth. So I'm like, all right, 12 hours is gone. So this is now 9 o'clock at night on that Sunday. And they end up putting a balloon catheter in now at this point. And that pretty much is trying to also, open up the cervix.
Yeah.
So when they put the balloon in, they also started the Pitocin, which is a contractions medicine.
Okay.
That's when you start feeling the pain.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So I was really nervous. I didn't know about this whole balloon thing. Pitocin, you don't know how contractions feel. I don't know. So
I hear it feels like a really bad cramp.
yeah,
Like a period
and
cramp.
that's when it started. So 9 o'clock p.m. when they put the balloon in. So the balloon is supposed to, if all goes well, if I get dilated, the balloon's supposed to slip out at 6 centimeters.
Okay.
So throughout the whole night, I was like, the nurse would come in and try to tug on the balloon and it wouldn't come out. So I'm like, I'm still stuck at 1 centimeter,
Yeah. Oh my
like
gosh.
I was, getting discouraged and, sad. I'm like, come on, I'm tired. I just want to get this baby out. The Pitocin medicine started kicking in around like 10 o'clock. And for a good 5 hours, I was going through consistent contractions every few minutes. And I was like, mad, like
Holy
menstrual
crap.
cramping.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God. And then you're fine. And then you can talk
Yeah.
normally. And then it's like, oh gosh. Then it's like, okay, you can breathe for another minute. And that went on for a good 5 hours. And the thing is, I didn't know that I could take pain medication at
I
the
was
time.
gonna
ask
I
that.
didn't know.
Epidural?
I thought, well,
one
the
informed.
epidural isn't until you get to like 6 or 7
okay.
centimeters
So you have
point.
to wait till a certain point.
Yeah. And in my mind, I was like, I got to wait till I get to that point to start getting any type of pain medication.
Yeah.
But little did I know I could have had some sort of pain medication this whole time. So from 9 to I mean, they did say, oh, do you want pain medication? But I was like, it hurt, but I was like, to what point should
when
I
do you make
start?
that call?
Yeah, when do I make that call? And so it was 4 a.m. at this point, like consistent. We were awake every like 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And thankfully, Mikey was really patient. I was just like, oh.
You're like cuffing him, like fuck.
Yeah, I was just in pain. He's like rubbing my back. I wasn't screaming or anything. It was just like moaning and groaning.
Like ripping his hand off pretty much.
Yeah, I wanted to. So 4 o'clock, and then finally I was like, the pain meds, give it to me. And I was like, man, I feel so much better now.
Like shit, should have done this like 5 hours ago.
I was able to take like a 2-hour nap. So 6 o'clock comes in, our doctor comes in, and she checks, and she pulls out the balloon. And I'm like, wait, I thought the balloon was supposed to slip out, So she pulls it out, and I'm like screaming. I think I screamed more there than in actual. I didn't scream at all.
Was it because it was painful?
Yeah, it was painful. It was just. The balloon was still inflated in your cervix, so she like kind of it out.
okay.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, God. You know, so I was screaming. And she's like, oh, you're 6 centimeters. And I was like, oh,
You just
okay.
forced
So,
the 6
yeah. So at that point, I was like, okay, you know, all that, I'm at 7 now. That's
Yeah.
great. So that's when, you know, the whole process was progressing in that point where I got my epidural. And yes, I planned for the epidural for sure. Like, who wants to go through pain?
I don't know. But my mom didn't. I'm like, how the heck did you not?
Props to all those mothers out there who did not.
Seriously.
And
do
there's actually a
anything.
point where if you don't want it,
It's too late.
It's too
Yeah.
late, right?
Yeah. And I was like,
Oh, is that?
give it to me.
Why is that the case? Because it's like harmful to
Yeah.
I think it
I
is,
think it
yeah.
is.
pregnancy,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah. So you have to decide that early or else it's
wow.
too late and you can't get the
Okay.
epidural.
I see.
So I knew from a while back that I was going to get the epidural. So I got the epidural, body felt numb. So at that point, I don't feel anything anymore.
Were you like exhausted by this point? Because this is like
Yeah.
what, 20 hours in?
Yeah,
30 hours?
about
Yeah,
24 hours already now. That morning, I was 7 centimeters. I was like, cool, this should happen by noontime or so.
Yeah. Like,
So-
can I get some lunch finally?
Every few hours, they'll come in, and I was unfortunately stuck at 7 centimeters
man.
for another however many hours. And it wasn't until 6:30 p.m. was when
Oh my gosh.
I was ready.
Oh
or
my-
6 o'clock. Yeah. And I was ready to
did they
push.
keep giving you the balloon catheter?
The balloon was done at that point in that morning. So once she took it out, I was done.
So how did it get wider?
I guess with the Pitocin, the
Oh, okay,
contractions.
okay,
when
contractions, okay.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, they had given me so much meds.
Yeah.
And epidural, I had to get 3 doses of the epidural because it kept wearing off because it
Right.
took so long for
Yeah,
me to give
yeah.
birth. And so my body was in so much stress.
Yeah.
I was shaking, quivering. I had chills. And finally, 6 o'clock comes along and then doctor comes in. She's like, put your legs up and push. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And I thought it was a practice push, but
Right.
she was like, all right, we're going.
Oh my
And
god!
I was like, oh, this is really happening.
And then all these people out of nowhere rush in, right?
Exactly. I had my sister-in-law in there. Mikey was in there. Like 2 nurses, like 3 more people come in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all
the
right.
heck?
I guess that push was not a practice push. It was
Yeah.
the push.
Actually, so do the contractions already start bringing the baby, like start getting the baby
bringing
ready?
the baby down.
Okay, so it's not like there was another medicine that like forced the baby
No.
to start coming down.
No.
The contractions did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
Wait, I had a question too. Like, I remember you telling us during your pregnancy, like you had like the diabetes and
Mm-hmm.
all the other stuff. Has that affected like how you gave birth?
where the induction came in, yes.
got
So induction because the baby was small, so they felt that she was going to grow better outside. The cysts, they were growing inside the placenta, which was a cause for concern because they were like, maybe these are what was causing the baby to not grow inside of me. So that diabetes wasn't a big issue because my numbers weren't that over the range, so I wasn't too worried about that. And the placenta previa actually settled itself before I gave birth, so the placenta had moved away from the cervix at that point.
Okay.
So I didn't have to go through the automatic C-section.
I'm like on this roller coaster with you, like, oh my god, is everything gonna be
I feel like I'm in
okay?
it with you right now.
It's not over.
Yeah, so what happened next?
Like the pushing part.
So yeah, the pushing part.
You're like, I feel so exposed to the world right
Yeah, I mean, at that point, your bottom half is exposed. You don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You're just like,
Get it out. Get it out.
fine, whatever. Bright freaking light on my cooch. You know, like, whatever. So, and then the pushing part, I don't know if they really taught us in the class where the pushing part is you push as if you're
Taking
pooping.
a
Yeah.
dump.
I didn't know that. Well, I mean, I did, but then no one really confirmed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like push, push. And the first part of it, I was pushing with my face too much. Like if that meant like your face
like,
started,
you were
yeah,
stressed,
like it was.
yeah.
I was pushing the
muscles
wrong
and-
way.
Yeah.
I guess
You're
just
just,
like
like,
no,
tensing
push as if
probably.
you're pooping. And with the epidural, you don't feel anything, so I don't even know if I'm
Yeah.
pushing the right way.
Oh, right.
But aren't they supposed to take down an epidural so you can actually start feeling?
Yes, so
Yeah.
that was the other thing because I had so many doses of the
Yeah.
epidural at that point. The epidural was still going real
Oh,
strong.
shoot.
Yeah, so I
you-
didn't
you
know
start-
what I was doing.
You start
Yeah.
pushing out of your
I
face.
was like, I
instead
am
of-
pushing. Exactly.
You're like, I'm
I
pushing
am
with everything I can feel.
I am pushing. So what? 30 minutes in, the baby was out.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, I am pushing, you know.
Yeah.
Baby came out, and I didn't. Yeah. Go
Was
for
it easier because she was smaller?
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah,
I don't
guess
know.
you
Yeah, I don't.
I didn't know.
Can you feel her coming out of you?
You feel pressure, a little bit of pressure, but yeah, not feel.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine feeling. Oh no,
Yeah.
no.
Because how
Without the epidural, no.
how much did she weigh when she
She came out measuring 6 pounds 3 ounces. So I mean, not that small.
Yeah.
They made it seem like she was really small, but 6 was not that crazy.
Wait, did you have Mikey? Did you have a preference for like, you don't go down there, don't look down there, or like, did you want him to stay near?
Yeah,
like,
what was the conversation with your husband?
I didn't mind if he was on either end, but I wanted him towards the head, supporting me,
yeah.
like next to me.
How about
you
your
know.
sister? Is it?
My sister-in-law they're both on both sides of my
face?
like, yeah. So both encouraging, push. Yeah. It was some crazy times. So baby comes out, and I didn't know this because I was laying in a position where I couldn't really see down that way. But I found out after that the cord was wrapped around her neck.
Oh my god.
I know. So the doctor took the cord out, unwrapped her real quick, and put her on my chest. And I was like, my first reaction was, so much hair. She has so much hair. And I was like crying, obviously. You know, this whole experience led to this moment. Right. And I was like,
Finally.
crying and sobbing really hard. And then they started wiping her, and then they're like, her color is not changing. And then at that point, you're supposed to hear the baby cry, you know?
Yeah.
She let out a little tiny cry at first, but the doctor took her back, had Mikey cut the cord, and she was like, call the NICU people coming in.
Frick.
And she was like, call for help. And in my mind, I'm
Oh my
like,
God, that's
if
not
the doctor's
something I'm
screaming
hearing.
out for help, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, what's going on? So they brought her to where they put the newborns on that table thing. And thankfully, I mean, everybody came in, and she turned color immediately and started to cry. They had a suction, and she had a lot of fluids in her chest. So they had to do all that, and then just traumatizing moment,
my
you know,
God.
just
Yeah.
seeing from afar your baby. My baby was like away from me. I didn't get to really hold her. And then they had to take her to NICU right away. They, you know, cleaned her up, brought her over to me one last time, and I got to kiss her before she left. So I didn't get that, you know, initial mother bonding experience in the beginning.
skin.
Yeah, the skin to skin, I didn't have that. So that was rough. And then, ooh,
Yeah. I'm getting there too.
I know.
So Mikey was next to you the whole time, or was he in the NICU like with her?
he went back and forth. He was recording like videos and taking pictures of her for me. Crying, guys.
No, it's. I think
it's-
this is the first time you're like really talking about it too. with
Yeah,
her,
totally.
you know? I can't even imagine what you had like to have gone through all of that and then not be able to just like
that was
the
going
moment
through
and
it.
caress
Yeah,
and-
I was like,
yeah.
come on, like this is my time for her, you know.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get to see her, and then on top of that, I had a fever, and
Oh, no, so you
with the
yourself,
fever, they needed me to be clear 24 hours before I could even go see her. So everything had gone okay. Like I would have been able to see her in the NICU within the same night, but I couldn't because I had a dang fever.
Yeah.
So I had to wait another 24 hours to get that clear before I could even go see her. So even more of a delay, you know? So I was where I was at the hospital, they provide this like little live stream.
Okay.
So they have a little camera on the baby in the NICU, and I was just watching her through a camera on a little iPad.
Yeah.
And then, you know, occasionally Mikey would go down and take a little video and all that stuff. So I got to see her in that way, but yeah, that was super rough. But after the 24 hours, finally got to go to NICU and go see her, and that was the moment I was waiting for, you know.
And
to
was that
finally hold
like
her.
your fever passed in 24 hours, or it was just
The fever had passed within the first like hour, but because I had to be clear.
Yeah.
They had to check me every few hours. Like you got to stay clear of the fever before you can go.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Like tearing up your girl.
Yeah.
What
so
a strong mama.
It's like everything that you
Yeah.
don't want
Yeah,
to
so
happen
many-
Exactly.
has happened, and you can't prepare yourself for any of this. You don't hear a lot of stories like this either to prepare yourself for it,
Yeah.
and you're just like, why me?
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Were you reaching out to people during that waiting period, like texting with friends or calling with friends?
Yeah,
or-
I had like a handful of like close friends and family that we had told everything to, like from, you know, all the stuff in the in the middle and the between, so that, you know, they were supportive and, you know, praying for us. And so only a handful of people knew like what we had gone throughout the whole pregnancy and like all this to top it off, you know. luckily we have a good support system to get us through everything.
So that moment when you held her, you're just like, do
finally.
not ever take her away from me ever
And
again.
it was hard because I'm tired too. You know,
Yeah.
like
You haven't
not,
slept.
No, yeah, exactly. I haven't slept. I'm recovering. I'm in pain still. So, like, as much as I wanted to be with her forever, like in the NICU, like I was exhausted too. So I was in there for maybe like an hour, and then I got like this like big old yawn come upon me. I'm like, I'm so tired. I want to be here, but we went back and I just slept.
And how long was she in the NICU for before you could take her home?
3 days.
And were you in the hospital?
I
those
was,
3 days as
yeah.
well?
So I had some antibiotics I needed to take as well. So I needed a few extra days as well.
Yeah.
So we both were in there, and I didn't want to go home. I was ready a day ahead of her to go home, but we stayed an extra day to wait for her because I didn't want to go home empty-handed.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So yeah.
Dang.
Oh, the end. Well, sort of. The end in that part.
Oh my gosh. When she was in the NICU, was Mikey allowed to go in to see her while you were recovering?
Yes, definitely. And it was hard for him because he didn't want to hold her without me being around. So we both got to hold her when I was cleared of my fever.
That's good of him too, because he knows that that's like a shared
special
like
moment.
experience that you both wanted to have. Do you feel like you like love Mikey so much more after that whole experience?
Yeah,
It's just, like,
definitely.
this
We
someone-
both just appreciate each other so much more, you know. Just after all of this, we talk about it like we don't want to ever have to go through that again. So we even talk about like, are we going to have a second baby? Do we want to go through the possibility of having to go through this again? I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
But, you know, I can't think that far. Right now, I don't.
Right now you do.
Right now, I don't. But, you know, ask me again in a few years.
Season 6, we'll come back and talk to you again.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. We're taking it one at a time for sure.
Now that you have her and she's there with you at home, like, are there still things that are like coming up that you didn't expect? I'm sure there's like a whole host of just being a new mom and like having a baby in your home and all of that. Or are you like, I already went through the worst, this is all fine?
You would think, right?
Yeah.
No, she's been a baby.
Yeah.
Typical baby. So, you know, after she got cleared, brought her home, she's healthy, she's happy, she's great. You know, after all of that, she's a good baby. She's healthy. She's a little warrior, we call her. Yeah. But yeah, everything's fine. I mean, they don't teach you how to be a mom, and they don't tell you everything. So every night I'm like Googling something at 3 a.m, like how to put a baby to sleep. Like you should check my
You're like the
history.
most basic things that you're embarrassed to like show
But
anyone
the thing
else.
is, I'm not alone. You read
Yeah.
these forums online, and there's so many moms asking what you think is the weirdest, stupidest questions. They're not, because everyone else is asking them too.
Yeah.
So it feels good to not be alone in that aspect.
How's like breastfeeding, and because I hear that that's like really difficult for some moms.
I don't know if it was, you know, something that had affected me, but not being able to bond with her from the beginning. She was taken straight to the NICU, so they were feeding her formula immediately, and she was feeding a lot in there. So 4 days of not breastfeeding.
Yeah. Is it because you were sick during that time, so they didn't want to use your...
And then she was in the NICU, so it was hard for me to go back and forth to do that. But I was pumping and providing whatever I could for her at the time. But when we got home, breastfeeding has been a struggle. I can't say that I am breastfeeding right now. I'm exclusively pumping and giving her my breast milk. So she's getting my milk.
Yeah.
And also supplementing with formula.
Yeah.
Can't breastfeed. Yeah, it's latching issues. That's like a whole nother topic, breastfeeding.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously, like they tell you breast is best, blah, blah, blah. Like there's so many expectations of a mom, you know, breastfeeding, but it's not easy.
And I've been hearing like more and more of that too, how that's like, that shouldn't be like the normal. You shouldn't like shame moms just because they can't.
Totally.
Like my sister she didn't know that she was not providing enough milk until her baby had to go to the NICU like 2 days after she brought him home. And I was there too with them. And he was
my
just
gosh.
crying all night. And she's like, I don't
Yeah.
understand why. Like, why is he crying? And they'd be so tired that they would fall asleep in their bed for like 5 minutes. And I would just be like kind of like shaking him a little, like, come on, go to sleep, go to sleep. And I'm like, what's going on? And then that same night they were like, all right, I think we need to go and see what it was.
Yeah.
Well, what's happening was that he wasn't latching on well, and he actually wasn't getting fed
Getting
enough.
enough,
So
yeah.
he was crying and she was just like, oh, I'm a terrible mom. Like,
No, yeah.
but like no one tells you that this is like a thing.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly in our generation that breastfeeding has become really popularized. But like when we were babies, like I don't know about your parents, but I think I was on formula. Like our generation, breastfeeding was not as like popular.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I feel like that mothers should not be
totally.
shamed for or.
I'm glad I'm, in sharing my story because it's not easy. Like, in the beginning, like, I wanted to breastfeed. I was so into it. And, in the end, it just doesn't work out for everybody,
Yeah.
and it's okay. That's the
Right.
thing. Like, you got to understand that it's okay. You do what's best for you and your baby. You know what's best.
Right.
So.
Dang, I feel like I'm still like reeling from your story of your pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm still like a little in shock. And like, I think for me right now, I just, after all you going through your labor story and like not being able to see her, like, are you guys okay now though? Like, is there any like complications like with you or like with the baby? Like, I know there's other struggles like being like a new mom, like, Googling stuff, but like, I guess health wise, are you guys okay?
Yeah, I guess that first week was rough, going home. Because initially, I didn't get that bond, so I felt not connecting with her. Like, I was like, man, if only I was able to get that skin-to-skin contact, maybe this could have been better. Maybe I could have breastfed or whatever, So somewhat, blaming myself for things not going the way that it should be, quote-unquote, should be, but really there is no right or wrong way, So that was rough, on top of being a new mom, not knowing anything. I'm recovering. I'm in pain.
Yeah. I was gonna ask about that.
Yeah.
Your physical healing because
Physically,
this process
yeah.
for you was
totally
really-
physically, emotionally, mentally, everything draining.
Yeah.
So that first week was rough. Recovery process was, and I'm still recovering.
It's
really
only 2 months ago that you
Yeah.
It's been 2 months. I don't know how much detail.
I want
do you
the
want?
details.
Everything.
The leaking, the peeing, just
Period, right? Do you wear a pad?
Yeah, so the hospital provides you with, mesh underwear and
Yeah.
pads and little, what's it called, like witch hazel pads and stuff.
Okay, yeah. To help it heal.
Yeah.
It's like medication for
And
it. Okay.
like the spray, whatever, for
Yeah.
you to clean yourself when you're using the restroom. So all of that, I used all of that.
Yeah.
Do they have to stitch you up?
I guess there's different degrees of tearing. I tore. They didn't cut or they didn't. Yeah, I tore. I guess it was a 3rd degree tear, which was painful.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but
3rd degree,
3 is there's
is-
1, 2, and 3, so pretty.
It goes to 4.
Ooh.
So 4 is tearing past your butthole.
Oh my God.
So it's
Third
like how
is
far?
third. Yeah, third is to the butthole.
I think that happens more often than
Yeah,
we
totally.
think.
It does happen.
Yeah, and it's better to naturally tear.
Yeah, that's what
than
they
have
say.
it
Right.
cut.
But if you can just imagine like the amount of pressure to tear it,
Yeah.
that just like gives you a vision of
Thankfully, I didn't feel any of
Yeah,
that.
right.
But all I knew was she was doing something down there. I
Yeah.
was like, what is she doing? My sister-in-law was like, oh, is she stitching you up? I was like, oh, no, I tore.
like, yeah.
I was like, I mean, I wasn't going to birth the baby, but whatever.
Like I think
Yeah.
my sister, her epidural had just worn off when they were starting to stitch it, and I remember she was like all like happy and elated having a baby, and she's just like, "The fuck? What the fuck are you doing down there?" She's like, "Give me more pain medication before you do that."
That was another thing. The epidural, that lasted almost another 12 hours.
Oh
for
my
me.
god.
Oh wow.
So my bottom half, I had to be carried around pretty
Yeah.
much.
yeah.
Because you can't feel your legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that thing lasted forever, and I was like, "Is this supposed to wear off anytime soon?"
This is gonna be forever.
Yeah. So I didn't feel the whole stitching part,
Yeah.
but oh man, it was rough. But the scary part also after giving birth was going number 2.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to poop. I haven't pooped since Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's now Wednesday or Tuesday or Wednesday. And I was like, I haven't pooped. I'm going to have a big one and it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
But they give you like stool softener and stuff like that. So thankfully my first post birthing poop was okay.
Is that a thing? Do people talk about that?
I don't know. I don't know if that's
Okay,
a
we
thing.
should
We can talk about it now.
Because I'm like visioning like women that like tear to their butthole and now they have to poop after the stitching, like, and they're constipated. Oh my God.
I would almost prefer like a tube up to get my poop out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
at that
just
point.
give me an enema or something.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I can't imagine. But I was very scared. But I was like, I was sitting on the toilet, and then I was like, oh, I already went.
That was a soft one.
It was good.
Are there any kind of like remedies that you're using to help your body heal?
Do I have any? No, nothing that they don't tell you to do,
Yeah.
really. I'm doing like, what they give you and provide you, the little pads and stuff like that. I mean, naturally it'll heal on its own. You can't really do anything to speed the process, unfortunately, but it takes time, and I'm maybe like 80% healed.
Oh, wow.
completely,
So like how long of a time period does it take for it to like usually all heal up, like all the stitching?
Stitching, I think about like 6 weeks or so.
Okay.
Yeah. And that, they say, like, just dissolves. Like, the stitches
Oh yeah, I was gonna
dissolve.
ask.
Yeah.
Where you gotta pull that out.
Yeah, I was like, are they gonna...
They dissolve?
Yeah, I guess they have it dissolves. Weird. I
Do you
know.
check and like?
I have
look-
not.
Grab a mirror.
No, you know what? I have not looked down there
Yeah.
forever.
Really?
Since, yeah.
You're gonna go
I didn't
home
want to
today?
see what it looked like post
Yeah.
birth either. I was like, oh no, just let it be. Good.
Yeah.
You're gonna go home today, grab a mirror, and just stand over it. Like, Agent Boss Girl has made me think about what my stitching looks like right now.
I don't want to know. I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
As long as it feels fine, then I'm okay.
Does Mikey look at it?
No.
She's probably like, you stay away.
Yeah.
I'm not
I
looking.
would feel like
you're
that
not
too.
looking.
Yeah.
Oh my
That
God.
has not come up at all. Far from any type of conversation we've had.
Check my stitching.
I mean, I don't want to scare anybody from having a baby.
I think
you
what's good
know.
is that it's like other women who are going through something maybe
Yes.
at the same time, but maybe something different. They're like, oh yeah, like I feel like my thing is abnormal. Like she feels like her thing was abnormal. So we're all in this sort of together.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like I've actually heard a lot of just things that totally depart from this like fantasy of the experience. So you sharing that, I know there's going to be a lot of women that
So after all that,
Yeah.
we're great now. Baby's great. She's the cutest thing in the world, and we're just obsessed. I think every mom just thinks their baby's like the cutest thing.
Oh,
in
of
the world.
course.
But no, my baby is the cutest.
Your baby is cute, super cute.
What is the best part about being a mom?
Like, no matter how bad your day is going, no matter like all the crazy stuff that's happening, like you just look at your baby and the baby smiles back at you. It's like the best feeling in the world. And like you just kind of forget about everything for that 1 second, and like you just made it all worth it in the end, you know.
More tears.
More tears. Just kidding, more tears.
What's like unexpected thing about being a mom that you didn't really anticipate?
How much your motherly instincts just kind of kick in when you have a baby. Yeah, you're never ready to become a mom, but when you have a baby, you're just like naturally like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Baby's this, you know your baby ins and outs. Like you're like, oh, I could do this. I'm doing this.
Yeah. Like you take it minute by minute.
Yeah.
And every minute something else happens. It's
Exactly.
Like,
Everything's different. You can't, there's no, like I've been saying it, there's no right or wrong. Everything's you go with the flow. There's no routine. You can't, every day is different, and you learn something new every day.
And then you have your parents are close by?
Yeah.
To help out?
Both our parents are close by. His family, my family. Yeah. Everybody's been really helpful.
How has having a baby influenced how you see Mikey?
Like, how has it?
Has your
influenced
love
your
grown
relationship?
deeper, or like you're seeing a different
Yeah.
side of him now, right?
Yeah, totally. You see, I mean, even prior to having her, I was just like, oh, I can only picture them growing up together, her being a daddy's girl, you know, like, stuff like that. So definitely, like, you know, when it's just them two, you just kind of like take a look and you're like, oh, that's so freaking cute, you know, like,
That's like I used to see him as like a hot dude.
Yeah.
A hot dad.
Yeah.
Gonna make it on that what's it
Disneyland?
called? That Disneyland.
Yeah, Disneyland. I know that.
We'll make it there one day.
Cathy, thank you so much for being here with us today. I think hearing your story does also give just a lot of awareness that like being a mom going through pregnancy is a lot more difficult, and people go through abnormal things, right? That you think it's like because of you or whatever, but I think everyone goes through this at the same time. So you being vulnerable here today and just sharing your story, that's so immensely significant to so many people, including us as like future moms too. That makes us feel like whatever we go through, it's like, it's okay. Like you're gonna like, now you're at the other side and you're like so happy. You have this like cute ass little girl like growing up. It's incredible to see that journey and where you are now. So
thank you guys for this platform to share the stories.
And I guess from here, you still are pursuing like your YouTube stuff, and you're still trying to like balance your job, and you have a kid now and being like a wife, and that's so many different like hats that you have to fill.
Is there anything, can you
just
share?
one hat bigger than all the rest?
Right. One hat's more important than everything else.
Is there anything you can share with us about kind of thinking ahead of how are your plans with like returning to work, or balancing with YouTube? Or maybe not, you haven't thought that far ahead yet. Step one has just been kind of...
Well, I do start back at work in January, so I'm dreading that. But we're already starting to plan our first trip with the baby. So we're itching to travel, because prior to the baby, we were traveling a lot. So that's, the next step is to plan a Hawaii trip next year with her.
That's so
And then
cute.
hopefully record and start vlogging, incorporating baby.
Yeah.
And that's the next step.
What do you call it? Tiny
Little Bigs.
Little bigs. Hashtag so cute.
I know.
That's so cute.
I feel really attached to Isla because like hearing your story, it's like, how can I not be, after the struggle you went through? So I'll be following on Insta. Baby Isla.
Thanks, guys. She appreciates it.
So just for our listeners, maybe if you could repeat what your handles are on social and where we can find you.
Yeah, so I'm not really active on all the other ones, but the most active one, I guess you could say, is Instagram, and that's it's Cathy, Yee, it's ITS, Cathy with CATHY. It's Cathy.
And then you also have a YouTube,
which is not very active. But
We'll follow your Hawaii trip.
is there like a handle on that? I don't even know. You could just search
Must
my
know
name,
your
Lil Sea
username.
Dog.
Lil Sea Dog. Okay.
It's Lil Sea Dog. It's still Lil Sea Dog. I don't know if I
That's so
changed it.
cute. It's still Lil Sea Dog.
DAWG.
Dog.
Dog.
Yeah, Lil Sea Dog.
Thanks again to Cathy for sharing her wonderful story with us. If you guys have any stories around your pregnancy experiences or labor or being a new mom, please email them to us at asianbossgirl@gmail.com.
We'll make sure to send those to Cathy as well so she
Yes,
could read.
please.
Yeah.
I would love to read everybody's experiences.
And if you guys enjoyed today's episode, please leave a baby emoji on our recent Instagram post. And you can find us on Asian Boss Girl on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
We are also on iTunes, Spotify, and all of your podcasting platforms. So leave us a rating and a comment, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.